All right, well, hello everyone, and welcome to our Ready, Set, Smart webinar series. My name is Sarah Stork, a professional development specialist from Pennsylvania. This week's webinar, Getting Started with Smart Learning Suite Online, will feature Jody Bean, our Smart Professional Development Specialist from Oregon.
Let's go ahead and get right into what we're going to be doing today. So there's a couple new little Easter egg carrots that we want to share with you. If you're new to Smart Learning Suite Online, one of the things to know about it is like that one-stop shop. We love Smart Learning Suite because it works with our workflow. Whether you're a Google user, a Microsoft user, maybe you're just using Smart Notebook, we've got an avenue that you can use for your situation. But if you take a look at what we have to offer, this is what we have. The very first thing that we have is this combining multiple sources. We now can take any of our sources, no matter where they live, because we don't want you to have to reinvent the wheel. And we can bring in a PowerPoint, we can bring in a PDF, but we also can add upon those. So once I'm going to show you this, we're going to be able to take those contents that you have and take little bits and pieces. So if you like that one PDF that you have in another file, let's go get it. If you have a PowerPoint and you want that one page and you don't want to have to recreate it, right? Let's go get it. Let's add it and put it into one space. Right? We also have the ability to bring audio in and use that for our students so that we can reach them, whether they're synchronously with us or asynchronously. We have wonderful game-based activities that our students all seem to love. Even my adult students love it. They have so much fun with those. We have some ready-made manipulatives that are easy to edit, use, and make them work for whatever your situation is. We have the ability to collect data and use our assessment tool, and it's all embedded inside our file. And if you don't know, we also have a commercial-free YouTube where we can embed it right inside Smart Learning Suite Online. No need to open up another tab. No need to have our students go out and have that wonderful questionable thing that might show up. We all cross our fingers and say, oh, please let it not be something that is not appropriate. We don't have to worry about that in Smart Learning Suite Online. They're commercial free and safe. We also have the ability to bring in collaborative workspaces, and we have 21 graphic organizers. So here's what I'm going to say. We've got so many different components that are going to meet the needs of every teacher, and we want to share those with you today. Sarah, are you excited about the new features? What's one of your favorite ones that are coming?
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to be able to duplicate a page and make multiple copies of the same page. I'm so excited to start doing that.
Yeah, so that's right. So make sure I show that, right? Sarah, remind me to show that when we're starting to create. I just want to share with you that we have so many different options that we're going to be using. And share in the chat, what is yours? If you've used Smart Learning Suite Online before, what is your favorite component that we have in Smart Learning Suite? And just so you know, the developers are already working on the next new features. So you always have to come back because we're always updating the newest features that teachers are asking for, because it is a community-driven experience. So we want to know what you like, right? So this is what we're going to do. Getting started with Smart Learning Suite Online, we want to do it in 5 easy steps. We don't want to have that, we want to be able to take what we have and we want to spend our time with our students and not really doing that content creation, because that's where we get the most bang for our buck. We want our ability for us to use what we have, existing content, bring in the fun things that the students are used to, and then, using that for our lesson. So what I want to do with you today is, if you're brand new to Smart Learning Suite Online, I want to start by bringing in some different components like a YouTube video and maybe a blank page. You're going to also be able to explore all the other different features that we have. And I want you to just click around, like just go ahead and just click inside Smart Learning Suite Online so you can discover what will work for you. We're then going to create some game-based activities and ready-made templates and add audio to the lessons that come really easily. And then we're going to engage our students, because after we create all of these wonderful pages, we want to, of course, have our students interact, and we want them to construct meaning in real time. And that's the way they're going to be learning throughout their lessons, right? And then we're going to show you how you can deliver your lessons in Smart Learning Suite Online to your student devices, whether they're in class face-to-face, or if they are in an asynchronous setting, or if you are going to have like a hybrid, we've got you covered in any of that. And then finally, I want to show you how you can share a link either with a colleague or with your students. So what I would love for us to do right now is I'm in presentation delivery mode in Smart Learning Suite Online. I want to point out one feature that's brand new. So for those of you who have been with us with Smart Learning Suite Online, you might know that there's actually a brand new feature. And if you can see it, it's right here. In presentation mode, there is now a text tool that you can now add to your slides in real time while you're in delivery mode. That's pretty great, right? So I don't know if everybody else used that, but now we can actually take that text tool and we can go ahead and apply that text tool right onto our page, right? And we can do all those fun things right there and add in real time with our students and keep the lesson and the transitions going. All right, so what I want to do is get out of delivery mode, and I want to take us into our homepage. So in the upper left-hand corner, we're going to make a circle around here. So we're starting in presentation mode, and then we're going to go in, we're going to make some content creation, and then at the end of this webinar, we're going to come back into delivery mode so you can see how it comes full circle. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the 3 horizontal lines that are in the upper left corner. And when I click on it, I have a whole bunch of options here. What I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and end my lesson. Once I end my lesson, I am now in my home page, which houses all of my Smart Learning Suite Online files. And as you can see, I have quite a few. But for those of you who are new to Smart Learning Suite Online, I want to show you just a little bit of a field trip of what you can expect when you are inside your home page. So in the upper right-hand corner, you have a little emoji, and mine just happens to have my face on it, but yours might have something different, or maybe just your initials. If you click on it, you have a whole bunch of different options. You can find out what's new, which is the newest features that just got launched today. You can find the welcome intro if it's your very first time, or you want to watch that video again, you have that also. We also have, of course, the feedback feature and a request a feature, which is huge because, as we mentioned, we are a community-driven company, and your feedback and requests are really valuable information to us. We also have a really awesome, strong global community, and you don't have to be an expert in Smart Learning Suite Online or anything smart at all. You might be brand new to it. It would be a really great idea to join the Smart Ambassador program and connect with educators all over the world. So you can do that here. I'm going to keep moving on. You have this little edit class, and if you click on that, this is where you can rename your class. So if you want to rename, mine right here says Jody Bean. Maybe I want to be known by Miss Bean, or maybe I'm doing a unit on medieval time and I want it to say My Majesty. I could change it if I would like, and it doesn't affect anything that I'm doing. I also can personalize my Smart Learning Suite homepage by adding a banner up here, and I am ready to go. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what if I'm a Google user? Yes, we have a Google integration, and we are not going to dive into the Google integration, but Sarah, if you have anything to add to the Google integration, because I know you're a heavy Google user, what could you give to our Google users that are here with us today?
Sure, I can grab the link to the Google Guide, which will certainly give them more information. If you have the Google app in your Drive, there by your Google admin, then you'll be able to view it by going to your Google Drive and clicking New, More, Smart Learning Suite. I'll pop that into the chat, and also go grab the Google Guide too if you'd like to learn more at another time.
There you go. So we're not going to dive into the Google integration. But we do have videos and we have some bite-sized tutorials that will help you if you are a Google user. If you are a Microsoft Teams user, we have an integration also where you stay within Microsoft Teams and you can go and get the Smart Learning Suite Online app and inside Microsoft Teams, and you can live right inside there and do all your content creation and your presentation inside Microsoft Teams. So we've got you covered. All right. If you're not doing either one of those, we also have you covered. We integrate beautifully with Canvas and other types of LMS systems too. But I want to point out right here, we have three bars up here. If you come in, every time you come in, you will have this little training box right up here. And it actually, and I'm going to go ahead and just pop it open so you can see what it looks like. This is a really valuable resource because no matter where you are on your smart journey, you're going to learn something new, and there are bite-sized little pieces of information and quick tip videos that will help you navigate the different pieces that you might want to add into your lesson component. And it goes into 5 easy steps. And I'm kind of taking you through that today through the smart training site. So if you look right here, we have a watch video. It's really quick. You can watch that, or you can learn how to bring in an existing content or start with a video. I kind of consider this, Sarah, like your choose your own adventure. Like you can decide where you are and what you want to add into your Smart Learning Suite Online, right? Add all that in there. And as you go down, you can see how easy it is to find what you're looking for and move through that. So take a look at that. So I'm going to go back into my Smart Learning Suite Online homepage. And we also have a place where you don't have to start from scratch. It's right here, and it's called Explore Resources. When you click on that, you will see that we have some featured content, which is getting updated very regularly. We have some collections. So if any of these speak to you and you're like, oh, this looks really interesting, you go ahead and click on them. And then you'll see that there are multiple different files that you can import directly into your Smart Learning Suite Online. And then you can edit and add the different pieces that will work for you. I'm going to click this little home button in the upper left-hand corner to get me back to my home page. But here's where we want to spend the most of our time today. We want to show you all the fabulous components that you have literally at your fingertips in Smart Learning Suite Online. So right here, the green button, if you click on it, let's see if we can go back and refresh. And I'm just going to open up a new one. Let's get it going. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and click on the green button, and you're going to get what is called the add content. This is where the magic happens. Check this out. I want to point out something right here. So right here where it says import resources, this is where you can import your existing content. If you are a Google user, you can bring in your Google Slides, you can bring in your Google Docs, you can bring in anything that you have, pretty much a PDF, a PowerPoint. If you're a Smart Notebook user, you can also bring in your Smart Notebook. If I click right here, I have a way to go to my own laptop, my own device. I can get something from my library. I can add from my Google Drive. If you are a Google integrated school, or you activated the Google integration, you'll see that also right here. And then on top of that, I have all these other templates that I can add to my lesson to bring in that interactivity. So what I want to do is I would like to create a really quick lesson and show you how easy it is to build inside Smart Learning Suite Online, directly inside it. So what I would like to do is start with a blank page. And I don't know about you, Sarah, but there's a lot of power behind a blank page. And I'm going to just show you how easy it is to do that. I'm going to go ahead and set up my lesson. It's going to go into editing mode. And you know you're in editing mode because you have this little blue banner at the very top. And I'm going to actually create a lesson on vocabulary building. And my students are learning about shades of meaning. And so I'm going to actually call this file Shades of Meaning. And what I want to do here is I would like to have the ability to put a word in the middle of the page. And I'm going to go ahead and delete the rest of these. I'm just going to click on that drop down arrow. I'm going to delete and bring this down into the middle, and I'm going to resize it. And then what I want my students to do for this activity is I want them to start thinking about anything that has to do with the word power, whatever comes to mind. It's kind of like that open, mindset where it's just like whatever you want to put down. So that's all I want to do on this page is just add that simple word right in the middle of it. But here's where it changes for my students. I'm going to go ahead and lock this down. I want to actually make this into a small group collaborative workspace. And I want to do that so my students can actually have that critical discussion with others. They can add other, text to it. They can add images, anything that comes to mind. So if you notice down at the very bottom of the screen, if I were to deliver this lesson right now, this page, it would be in view only. And that means that if my students connect with their device, they're not going to be able to do anything with this page. They're not going to have any tools on their side. So I want to change that. And all I need to do is go down to the very bottom where it says convert activity. And I have a choice here. I can convert it to an individual handout, or I can convert it to a collaborative workspace. And in this case, I want to convert it to a collaborative workspace. And that's as easy as it is. Now I'm going to leave that alone for right now. I'm pretty happy with it, but I want to continue adding some more magic to this lesson. And what I want to do now is I want to add a game-based activity. Notice down at the very bottom, I have a little blue button in editing mode under the thumbnails. If I click on it, I have all those components that come back. And I want you to take a look at them. We're not going to have time to go over all of them, but we have so many ready-made resources we're going to get to in just a second. But check this out. We have game-based activities. And if I click on it, I get a new window. And I want to point out that if you click on this little magnifying glass on any time you see it, just click it. It's actually going to give you a quick simulation of what that game might look like. It's going to give you a little preview, but remember, you're in charge of your content. You get to decide what content you put in each one of these games. The other thing is that some of them have the ability to add your own background. So if you have a certain unit of study and you want to add that to kind of give that response from the students, you can add your own images that you might already have, or you could use a safe search, which I'll show you. So I think, Sarah, I'm going to do a, Sarah, I think I'm going to do the word search. Should we do the word search?
Awesome. Yes, one of our newer games. So this would be great to see an example.
A lot of teachers love this new game. So let's show you what it looks like. All the games open up into their own little wizard on the back, and all you have to do is fill it in. And most of them can be actually made in less than 5 minutes. So it's not a lot of time to do this. So Sarah, here I need your help. And if you want to put anything in the chat, anybody help me out. What I want to do is I want to make a word search of vocabulary words that might have shades of meaning, like synonyms. And I'll give you an example. So if I put the word mad in here, you can think of some shades of meaning or synonyms that go with mad. What do you think, Sarah? Can you think of any?
Oh, let's see, maybe angry, Happy would be, oh, we might have
Oh, happy. I like that one.
There. Yeah.
Love. That's a
maybe
good one too.
Simple or easy.
Okay. Let's keep going. Let's do a couple more. How about massive? That's a big word. I love that.
Hard.
Okay. You can see you can add all of these different vocabulary words, how easy it is. It can go, oh, I like that word, soft. Let's add one more. I need everybody's help.
Let's see. How about giggle?
Oh, I like it. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I have, let's spell it right. And if you ever misspell a word, you can always go back and edit. Nothing is ever permanent, which I am so grateful for. And then over here on the grid side, I can decide how many letters can go across the tops of it, up to 18 across and 18 down. I like this, especially if you are a secondary teacher or, upper elementary. You can actually decide the difficulty of your word search. You have easy, which is just simply, looking for the words. You have moderate, which gives you a little tougher way of looking for the words. And then there's this difficult one. And if you look, it says vertical and horizontal words only. So I could do difficult or moderate. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say next. And all these wonderful backgrounds, and I'm going to add this space one. And you can go back and change that if you want. And there we have it. And I'm going to go ahead and preview it so you can see it too. Look at that. I just created a word search just like that, right?
Oh, I love that background too. That's so fun and bright.
I know, I really like it. And then there's a little hint on the bottom if the students need it, and it'll show that first letter of the word. So there's always some ways to help all your learners, which I really appreciate. All right, I actually want to do one more thing on this page. And that is I want to actually add an extension activity. And I want my students to use, because at a certain point, I want to put this in my like Google Classroom, or I want to send this link home to my students, and I want them to have the directions. We have the ability to add audio. And if you look at the very bottom, right next to the add content button, there is a little audio button. And if I click on it, I have the ability to record whatever I want up to 5 minutes. So you can see how valuable this could be for our different learners and differentiate. So I'm just going to put something in there and just say, hey, after you do the word search, I want you to pick 5 words and I want you to write them in a sentence. Be ready to share with the class. And then I click, and I'm going to go ahead and add that. The icon tells me over here that I have audio added to this page. I can always go back and edit it if I want to, but I'm pretty happy with this page. All right. So you can add audio and you have a word search. So far we've used a blank page and we converted it to a workspace, and we added a game-based activity with audio. Now, here's the big one. All right. I'm so excited for this because this is where we have the newest feature, and that is I am thinking about, I have a Shades of Meaning PowerPoint that I used to use all the time, and I would love to bring a couple pages in to this file, and we have the ability to do that. Watch how easy it is to bring in existing content and put it in Smart Learning Suite into a file that I'm creating. I click on that blue button at the very bottom, and notice I now have this import resource button. If I click on it, I'm actually going to go into my local storage, which is my own device. I want to point out something though. Let's say you've created some Smart Learning Suite online lessons, and you already have like a really fun game. Maybe you already made that word search and it was in another lesson that you used. You could go grab that word search so you don't have to create it again, right? Reuse your games and then use it in another lesson. But what I want to do is I'm going to go grab my PowerPoint, and I know that I have it. Let's see which one I want. I want this one right here. Pick the file that I want, click open. A new window will open, and it's going to have all my pages of my PowerPoint. And in this case, I only have 2. I will only want to check the one that I want, and I want this one right here. If it was a whole PowerPoint, you could check as many pages as you want, uncheck whatever you don't want, and then add. And look at that right here. I just added a PowerPoint page into my Smart Learning Suite online file. Okay, everybody just stop and give it a clap because this is big, this is huge. All right, so now I have my students working on, making sure that they are able to know the difference between the shades of the meaning. We've gone through some of the vocabulary words, but again, I need to convert it into either a workspace or a handout that my students are able to work on. So I'm going to go down to that familiar convert to activity button. And this time I'm going to make it into an individual handout. And there you go. And let's just preview it. I have it right there. All is saved all the time. And so I'm happy with that. And so I've added all these different elements right inside my Smart Learning Suite online. But I want to show you one more feature before I show you how to deliver it.
Jody, Sarah, I'm going to interject right here, right? So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that this is such an awesome new fun update. You no longer have to start with a PDF, PowerPoint, notebook file, Google Slides. You can start building your lesson, then decide, oh, I need to bring in a page from a PowerPoint, or I need to bring in a PDF or add another file to the file that you're already building.
And what's really great is like, sometimes I start building a file in Smart Learning Suite online, and then my friend Sarah is like, oh, I have something that you could use. And I'm like, oh, bummer. I've already started it. But now Sarah can send me that file. I can add whatever I want and then put it inside my lesson. Isn't that the best? Like, this is such a game changer, Sarah.
I agree.
So excited. All right, I'm going to add one more thing because we know how important it is for us to do that question and reflection at the end of our studies with our students. Again, I click that blue button at the bottom and I have all these different components I can add. I want to point out that we have all these ready-made resources, and I want you to check them out on your own. But look right here, we have 21 graphic organizers, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you click, you can see that we have tons and tons ready for you. All you have to do is push that button, and it's imported into your lesson. I want to actually add a reflection piece to this lesson that I'm going to deliver to my students. So I'm going to go there, and I have all of these different options, and I want the one that says, how would you explain what you learned? And again, there's that little magnifying glass. I'm going to click on it, and boom, I can preview it. Pretend your friend was absent today. How would you explain what you've learned? I'm not going to do anything with that. But look what I just did. In less than 15 minutes, I created an interactive, rigorous lesson where I can actually have my students be interactive and engaged in each piece of the lesson. It's not about me delivering it. It's about my students engaging, constructing meaning, and really having a great time learning about shades of meaning. All right, we're ready. So now that I have my lesson, do you have a question, Sarah?
Well, I was just going to say, I absolutely love this and I'm so excited. We're getting some great feedback in the chat. But Jody, if I were building this lesson for my class, I might need to create 2 copies of that Shades of Meaning page, the one you brought in from PowerPoint. And I might need to make some modifications to it for some of my students who might benefit from some more support.
Oh, thank you, Sarah, because right here, notice we have these 3 little dots now on each one of these pages. So let's say maybe you are going to want to do some modifications. So maybe on this power page, I am going to go ahead and click on it. If I go ahead, I can duplicate page, I can delete the page, I can do that. If I duplicate the page, I now have it twice inside my unit, which is really important because maybe I want to add some higher level thinking on one of them, and I can always go back and edit the one that I just duplicated. Thank you, Sarah. I love that. Pretty cool, right? So far, we've got some pretty awesome pages that we've created. I'm ready to deliver. So I'm going to go ahead and finish editing. I'm going to go back into my homepage, and here's my lesson right here. When it's time for me to deliver, if I'm in my homepage right here, I will float over my lesson that I want and click start. Remember, this is where we started today together. in the delivery mode. And now I would have my students go onto their device, or if I have a smart board, I can project it onto my smart board or have it there on my smart board ready for me to deliver it. But if I am in a remote setting, I would just have my students go right into this little class management icon. I click, and my students will go to hellosmart.com. They'll add my unique code. You have your own. And then they will join my class. I will be able to see all of my students who join. Once they have entered that class code, they will be right here, and I will be able to see what they're doing in real time. Once that lesson is delivered, let's say we start the lesson together live, and now I want to actually give this lesson to my colleague, or I want to put it in Google Classroom, or in my, maybe I want to send it in an email. I have the ability to do that right here. Inside this little, the little horizontal lines at the very top on the left-hand side, if I click on it, I go down to the third option. It says share. Once I click here, I have an option to share this lesson with a teacher, a colleague. I would just click right here and then copy it and then paste that link wherever I want it to live. If I want to share it with my students, I can go ahead and click right here for copy, and then I can post it in my Google Classroom or wherever I want it to live. And that is how easy it is to use Smart Learning Suite online and create those lessons that are engaging. And especially this time of year, I know a lot of us are kind of winding down the year, and maybe you're just looking for a refresh and you want to have the different experience with your students. Try making some of these different engaging activities. I'm going to go ahead and click at the end. I want to challenge you. Before we leave, we have a few little things that we would love for you to see. I want to challenge you to do a couple things today or in the next couple days. I want you to start maybe with a commercial-free YouTube video. Try it out. Add a game-based activity. Maybe take one of the ready-made graphic organizers. And then, of course, connect your students to your awesome lesson. And then for sure, watch them have some fun with this. And I bet you'll get some really great feedback, right? So we actually have a lot of different resources that we want to help you. You always could get in contact with me or Sarah. You're going to get this link when you get the follow-up email. You can take a picture of it right now. But if you click on this link right here, if you just write down this bit.ly, it'll take you to this page that we are viewing right now. There are so many different pieces that, that might pertain to you that you might go, hey, I want to try this. A couple other things. I know I see someone is asking about integration. If you are wanting to know a little bit more about how Smart Learning Suite integrates with other tools, there is this right here, and Sarah will put it right in the chat. If you click on any of these, so if you are a Microsoft Team user and you want to use the integration, you will go right here, and there's actually a teacher guide that will take you step by step on how to use Smart Learning Suite in your Microsoft Teams. If you are a Zoom user, we have that. Flipgrid, love Flipgrid. It can integrate Seesaw, and of course, we have our Google Classroom. And if any of you are an Avid school or district, we also have resources to help you with those instructional strategies and how they could be applied in creating your Smart Learning Suite online lessons. In closing, we have a really much needed event coming up in July. It sounds like it's a long ways away, but you know how time flies, and we would love for each of you to join us and save the date. If you go to this bit.ly, you can go ahead and sign up, and they'll Smart's going to let you know when it's going to open for registration. But we'd love for you to come to our Smart Summer Refresh and just kind of right and just kind of let it go. So save those dates, July 13th and 14th. And then just so you know, we also have a really great webinar planned for you next week. And this could be you in the near future if you become a SMART ambassador. We have a special webinar with our SMART ambassador, Liz Zielinski, and she's going to talk about how to get real and relevant and share all her takeaways from this year. We'd love for you to join us on that one and sign up, and we'll see you next week. Is there anything else I need?
All right. So I know we're kind of going a little fast and furious with some of these links and resources in the chat. So we do have some questions that I do want to loop back to when we have some time, Jody. But I am just let everyone know, popping some of these resources into the chat for you. And I'll also be popping in the feedback survey link here in just a moment. But I'm going to come back to, we had some questions specifically about, so if you have a lesson and you created the duplicate page for different groups of students, maybe you changed the page, how would you deliver that to some students, but maybe not other students? So Jody, do you kind of want to talk us through a little bit about different ways to deliver the lessons to students?
So I've actually seen teachers do that, where they have a duplicate page and that maybe they have differentiated groups, and some will just put like a color code or just mention if they're live with their students, hey, Sarah and Angela and Michelle, you guys are going to do page 3. And so the students would just go and do the activity on page 3 as a handout. Or you could actually create a collaborative workspace on one and then separate your groups, because you can decide and what your groups are and which students go where. You can do it that way too. That's kind of what I've seen teachers use with the duplicate page, is that, you know, they have that differentiated piece. The other thing I'm thinking out loud about is when you have that duplicate page, and let's say you just kind of change some different aspects of it, your students are going to go ahead and go through it, and you can turn, and I'm going to show you right here, you can turn it into student pace. So as I'm teaching, I might be in teacher pace, which means that students, when I click on a new page, students will be on that same page. I can move it into student pace, which means students have the ability to go to any page in that file. And so they're going to be able to go up into those different duplicated pages and do the different activities that you have in there. I hope that answered your question. Do you have anything to add to that, Sarah?
I think you covered a lot of that. I just want to then ask a follow-up of just making sure that everyone understands that you can take that student share link and then put that into Google Classroom for students then to access the lesson. And then there was another follow-up question. How do you check students' work once they've added it?
Into Google Classroom or into?
Or in your Smart Learning Suite lesson, how do you check students' work?
Okay, so so what you can do when you are looking at your student, when the student clicks on a handout, on the teacher side, you will see their name pop up in the space on your device. And so you can actually drop in at any time, whether the students are actively in that handout, or if, let's say, you don't have time until after school to go and check their work, you can also drop into each of the students' handouts. You can give them real-time feedback. You can leave a digital sticker. You can give them some, some redirection, but you as a teacher are able to go into each one of your students' handouts and kind of view what they're doing in there and give them the necessary instruction.
And then a related question there is another one about, can you have multiple student codes for different classes or different groups of students? And I'm not sure if we covered that. I mean, we kind of covered it with the other answer, but if you just want to clarify that, Jody.
So when you have a SMART account, so once you're in Smart Learning Suite Online, and I'm actually going to exit right here so you can see it. You can see your code right up here at the very top. Yours might be a 6-digit code. And then when you're in the lesson, you also have access to it inside that class management tool up here. So you can have that. Will you repeat the question, Sarah?
So are there multiple student, or are there multiple teacher codes? No, we have the one teacher code, but if I wanted to share multiple lessons with students, and I would use that student share link for students to access the lesson at any time.
Right. Yeah. You would use the share link.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
But you have only one code. So let me make sure that's clear. As a teacher, you only have that one code. And my code is right here.
All right. And then another great question, when doing a class lesson, do students see how they each answer a question? So maybe can students see other students' answers or their work, and there's kind of a yes and no there, depending, right, Jody?
Right. So if you are in a collaborative workspace, then your students will be able to interact with each other depending on who's in that group. So if you have everyone, which I highly recommend, I love organized chaos, you can actually create everyone in the same collaborative workspace. So your whole class could be in one, or you can separate them into 9 different groups. Only students are in a particular group. They call them teams. So team 1 will only be able to see the interaction between the students that are in team 1. That is the only way that students can see that. But remember that if you are showing this lesson, you can actually have a student share, you can drop into a student's handout and you can present the students' work in there, and then they can actually talk about what they're doing in that handout. So you have multiple ways for students to actively share, either through a collaborative workspace or a handout.
All right. So a couple of other questions are kind of peppering in about, if you have other smart tools, maybe you have a smart board, maybe you have a smart notebook. So I'm going to pop this link into the chat. It is our Getting Started with Smart Learning Suite. So there's a link to learn more about, kind of going through the basics of learning Smart Learning Suite online, and the basics if you have access to Smart Notebook. If you have a license to Smart Notebook, then you would have access also to Smart Learning Suite online, but also it's free for everyone as well. So anybody can have an account with Smart Learning Suite online.
Right. So if you have Smart Notebook, you already have access to Smart Learning Suite online. You might just have to go in and go into your Smart Learning Suite online dashboard, the homepage, and you're good to go and you're ready to start creating. So you don't have to pay extra for Smart Learning Suite online. It already comes with your subscription. All right, so your question is, how do you check? So you just go back into your Smart Learning Suite online dashboard. So let's go through this. So if I end my lesson and I had my students working asynchronously, I can actually come right back into my homepage, go right into my file. Let's say my students are working on peer praising each other, and they were going to add some contributions in there. I would go ahead and start my lesson, go to that page that I can go back and assess my students. I would just go wherever they are at, whatever it is. And then I could drop into each one of my students' handouts or collaborative workspace, add feedback, assess them, and give them with the feedback that they need. So that's how easy it is to do that. Oh, here, okay.
Oh, great. Another question.
So once a student has finished the lesson, can we see the work? Yes. So again, what you do is you just go right in. So if we're starting this lesson, all I need to do is go into the, so let's go to, I want to go to the handout. Once this happens, right here on the teacher side, if you can see my screen, on the teacher side, it will actually have my student's name. Watch my mouse. The student's name will just appear right here. So if this is Sarah, I can drop into Sarah's, I can drop into Angela's, I can drop into Mary's, and that's how I can see their work. And so that's how you can see what they're doing, and then you can give the percentage. There's not a way right now how to see what the percentage of what they're doing in the handout yet. So stay tuned, because I know the developers are looking at how to give you more data and more views of what your students are accomplishing.
Yeah, and I would also recommend maybe popping in a response assessment, maybe at the end of my lesson, which I can put in some multiple choice questions, true and false questions, short answer, and then I can even grab a spreadsheet with percentages of correct, incorrect answer. So I might go back to a handout to view my students' responses, provide them some feedback, but then I'll pop a response at the end. And that's a synchronous live tool that I'll use with my students. So I'll run it live with my students when I'm meeting with them, either in class or virtually. But it's just kind of a great way to wrap it up and then export those results to a spreadsheet.
I like that idea, Sarah. Great.
And another great question about being able to save students' work in a digital portfolio. So I would recommend maybe grabbing some screenshots of students' work, and then you can upload them into, keep those in a portfolio or keep them somewhere so that you can review those later.
All right. Are there any other great questions, by the way? Totally great.
Awesome. Yeah. I hope you're all as excited about some of these new features as we are. I know I didn't get a chance to build any lessons today, but I'll be excited to get to start working with some of these new features. So thank you all for joining us today and learning a little bit more, or maybe seeing Smart Learning Suite for the first time today. So we're excited and we hope to connect with you.
And thank you for joining. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week with our Smart Ambassador.